Dear listener, you're listening to Talking and Improvising, which is both the name of this podcast and a very precise description of the activities that will take place after this introduction. My name is Jesper Nordberg, and I'm a bass player based in Malmö, Sweden. In this podcast, I will be meeting some of my favorite musicians with whom I'll be talking and then improvising in the duo format. Today, I've invited trumpet player Tomasz Dabrowski. Tomasz lives just 5 minutes from my place, but his artistic activity encompasses a much larger area. Born in Poland, but living in Scandinavia for the last decades, Tomasz has been creating new music both as a sideman and a leader with great musical curiosity, while still defining his own music and sound with a strong conviction. The melancholy of the Polish and Scandinavian tonal worlds is ever present in his music, but contrasted with an edge and a movement towards unknown musical territories. Welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Nice to have you here. We're sitting in the right in the middle, actually, of the Eurovision hub in Malmö.
Yeah.
Quietly forming an alternative
reality
to the Eurovision madness. How are you today, Tomasz?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Even though walking here, it's a weird, very colorful experience.
Yes, it is. It was a bit hard choosing the room also with to record in, because in one side of the building that we're recording in, we have our windows to the backyard where they have some like kids playing Eurovision themed concerts.
All right.
And on the other side is the street, which might be filled later with pro-Palestine protests. So I wasn't sure which side to choose, but it seems that it's okay for now.
So far,
So far, we're not so disturbed by the Eurovision.
Quiet, yeah.
In the intro, we heard some music from your latest album. Could you tell us a bit about the music? What did we hear?
Yeah, so this was an last section of a composition called Bonzer, with my septet individual beings. Yeah, it's an ensemble, since it's like a lot of instruments, a lot of people, and then you have both the acoustic and electronic layer to many instruments. There is so many possibilities with orchestration of it and getting different colors out of the setup.
Oh.
So that was a little idea I had to combine very spacey-like and church-like horns and like bass that sounds like another horn because
No.
of the like acoustic preference, combined with this very closed up piano improvising on
Yeah,
top
because
of it.
that you can hear, it's a really crisp piano on top of the
Mhm.
of these.
Yeah, that's something I've been occupied lately for the last few years a lot with, with exploring ideas of different sounds and the context of sound, how that can translate into some interesting
No.
sounding music.
Because so it seems that you work. It sounds like it's quite a lot of work in the post production.
Even though it sounds like it's been produced a lot, it's just no, it hasn't.
It hasn't. It's
No, it hasn't. It's a very it's like basic, like very simple ideas. Even though there's a lot of instruments involved and electronics and stuff, I'm still trying to go for the acoustic sound.
Yeah.
And then all the electronic stuff should be like
in the room or
in the room. Yeah, no, because that's very difficult technically.
No.
But just so it's like adds another dimension to it,
Yeah.
rather than taking over.
I was wondering about the acoustics, like the how much is real, how much is the room, and how much is
Well, this is a lot of just like effect, like
Yeah.
a plugin that was used for that. Because the room we recorded it in like it was recorded in Warsaw. We recorded it in like a old censorship studio.
Mhm.
So like I like places like that. It's like a room that it's not, it's not huge, but it's like it's big enough for a big
censorship studio. What's that?
So that's back in the communism era. Communism era, they would censor films and like
Yeah.
like I don't know if you ever seen that, but like in Poland, if you turn on the TV, still until today, there's like older man translating everything one to one.
I've seen. I saw a documentary about, but that wasn't the official one. I saw a documentary about some Romanian old lady who dubbed all the.
Yeah, it seems like
all the movies.
The more east you go, the stronger the thing is. But that's what that's what they did. They would like censorship movies and like make sure everything is within the lines, and also with the with songs and all the
so
putting
that
stuff
there's no
under the carpet.
inappropriate content.
Yeah. So that place has a new owner, who is also he's not so much into jazz music,
Okay.
which I also like.
Yeah.
Because in general I hate studios because they're so unhuman in so many ways. It's so
Yes.
clean, it's so dry, it's so right.
Yeah.
And I still hold that very close to my heart that, being true in music has no value to me.
Yeah.
And that's why like those studios, like those very dry rooms and stuff. And I'm saying that because I tried it. Like
Yeah.
when I did the solo project, the recording I did 3 times in different acoustics also just to see how it is. And definitely the studio dry room is the most uncomfortable. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I like to feel uncomfortable sometimes. But when it comes, if I could choose, I would choose places like that have a certain history, but then of course the sound is right.
Yeah.
But places that are a bit inspiring.
Yeah.
And like in that case, like the fact that the sound guy
That's
is not
amazing
like
history also.
Yeah.
With,
and now the guy who's running it, he's just like doing like pop stuff, and it's just
Okay.
like, but then it's like this funny connection. Like the drummer I play with, they went to a primary school together, so they know each other from way back. So when I was looking for the studio, I just got a tip about this place, and it just worked great. It's a totally different conversation. I feel like it's also the focus of musicians that you work with is somewhere else. If you're not in like a typical, 10 to 6 kind of studio situation.
Yeah, beautiful music. The little I heard of it, I need to listen to the whole thing. So what's happening right now in your life, musically, or you can choose. You have a small son.
Well, the son is growing.
Probably
I
slightly
actually,
bigger than when I last saw him.
Yeah. So now I have 2 kids.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. A lot has happened.
I've
then.
been working hard, man. No, so now I have a son which just turned 4 yesterday.
Wow.
And
Belated
yeah,
congratulations.
thank you. And yeah, a daughter. She was born in December, so she's still a newcomer.
And you're busy.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, nobody ever tells you those things, or even if they tell you, you don't listen. But just like with having one kid is a bit chaotic at times, but you still have some kind of connection to reality. With 2 kids, it's complete chaos.
No.
There's nothing to hold on to.
So I've heard.
Yeah, me too, but I never believed
Never
that.
paid attention.
Never paid attention. And now it's just that, and I mean, it's beautiful, but it's also like I'm like exhausted after 7 o'clock, like 7
Yeah, I
p.m.
can
I just
imagine.
cannot do anything.
No.
I'm just like, yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. So I'm still trying to stay creative. And yeah, what's going on? I've been doing the septet. I've been doing the duet with Knut Finsrud also, where it's called Learning by Doing. And what that means is that we both wanted to start using electronics in improvised music.
And you have you done it before?
A little
this
bit, yeah,
project
like
with,
slowly. I did it
yeah.
in septet. That's how it started. And then we introduced electronic drums for the septet also with Knut. And then at the same time, we both have this thing like, I mean, I hate being by myself and trying to figure out stuff. Like, it's just boring to me. So we just created this duet when we just meet and explore and work on that. So I play, trumpet as a source of sound for the effects, and then Knut plays pads. And
yeah, I heard some of it.
It's super interesting to me.
Do you meet then like every week or?
We meet regularly. We
Yeah.
meet and record and discuss.
Did you play concerts with this?
Not yet. No.
No.
It's just it's a pure exploration platform.
That's nice. Like when you were younger and you would have a band that you rehearse with every week.
Yeah, you just meet because you meet, right? And
that's very nice.
Yeah.
I miss that sometimes with.
me too.
There's not so many. It's hard to organize sometimes, and some people are not up for it also.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's I mean, this musicians freelance world is kind of has become very business oriented, and I mean, of course, you have to earn money and you have to, but
yeah.
But this, I don't know. I really like. I have some projects where I've been able to do that, like rehearse regularly with or without a gig, and it does something with the.
Of course it does. I mean,
with the music.
Yeah, and just grow closer together. Also, that helps with the whole thing. And I to a certain extent, I mean, I understand, that this music improvised scene, it's more like a business oriented, as you said. But business oriented, like, where's the money? Like, that's the whole thing about business.
Yeah.
So it's just
everyone's asking that.
Oh yeah. It's funny. Like, I had this experience, apropos, making money, but there's this Danish singer that doesn't matter so much with his name, but. What he did is he collected like a group, like a 12-piece band, like a live band for like a whole season. So like we played, I think, like 80 or 100 concerts.
Okay.
In Denmark, which is ridiculous.
Wow, that's
yeah, that's like, I didn't even know it was possible. But like we did like a whole concert,
like every square meter of Denmark.
Exactly, twice.
Yeah.
We did like a tour on like those concert venues all over the country, and then festivals. But he invited musicians from Orlando, like gospel, like church-grown musicians.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like, they couldn't read one bar. No. They were not even interested. But they had the biggest ears ever.
No. Wow.
And then like when you're on tour and when you're like in those buses and stuff, you talk, and then I talked to the drummer. The drummer at this point was called Ben Thompson, which if somebody is following the gospel chops, like drum is kind of school or like movement, you know, and it's this like very flashy, fast, that kind of that's kind of stuff that you're interested in when you're 16.
Yeah.
But he was one of the first ones to do that stuff, you know. And we asked him like, how is it, you know, like when you get called for a gig, like, you know, how does that look? And he's like, well, the first thing you ask is money, because that makes you look professional. And then they were like, you know, he said some other stuff, but then he was like, how's it in Denmark? You never ask about money. That makes you look professional. Because you know, because you just don't.
It's a cultural difference. But I heard that with American musicians that always state the money first.
I've been to States a few times, and it's, you know, I was, when I got introduced into jazz world, and you know, I was just reading about it, and you know, and like reading all those biographies, all those stories of, you know, the golden decades of jazz. I was just like, wow, I hope I can, you know, go there one day. And then I went there, and then like I was there for a week, and for the first, I don't know, 5 days, I was just pissed because it didn't make any sense compared to what I read, you know. Didn't make a sense at all. Like I heard 2 or 3 concerts every night. It was all really tasteless, or like incredible names that didn't even have time to rehearse because there's no money, so nobody there to, you know, care to rehearse. So you have like a new music that is probably very difficult, and they cannot play it, and then they play solos, and those are okay. But still, you know, it's like super chaotic, and or you have like bands that play like, well, now we play blues, and now we're gonna play a transcription of Stravinsky, and now some, you know,
like completely
like complete mishmash of like ideas, and it didn't make any sense. But I think still that it's very very good lesson, you know, like to see that and to experience that, like what it is, you know. And it also has to do with like how I perceive this music, and how important for me is to like strive to find your own spot, and you know your own place to stand, which has nothing to do with money. It's just like, you know, like dedicate your time and your efforts to actually being able to create or find something that is your own. And then I remember going to like, you know, jam sessions over there when you know, when you read those biographies and books about jazz,
I know.
it's like all the stories, you know, like, you know, if you played a wrong note, you would get shot. Well, whatever, like ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. And then you go there, and it's so so sad because you have like, I don't know, 5 saxophone players, and they all sound exactly the same. And they don't sound good. They sound exactly the same, you know. So I don't know. I think it was Michael Formanek who was interviewed about it, and he said, for him, you know, I understand that you know who Michael is, you know, like, you know, on this like forefront of creative music and contemporary improvised stuff. And he said, like, well, for him, the most important and creative stuff is going to happen in Europe, you know, because it's just the stuff we talk about, you know, the money. and
the
stuff
conditions
like that,
are better for.
Like, I honestly, I think there's something fundamentally wrong with the way they structure the whole thing, you know. And then of course, because of that, I went there and I saw how it looks, and then you see all those musicians coming to Europe being treated like kings,
like royalty.
Like being treated differently than European musicians.
Yes, it's a big difference.
Even though there's, I would say, and you can quote me on that, there's no difference in quality of music. Great conditions here in Scandinavia to make art, but then you go to, like, for example, Poland, and then it's something that you don't see that like in Scandinavia anymore, which is a lot of young people coming to concerts.
This is a big difference. I haven't played in Poland. I played quite a lot, or not that much, but I played a fair bit in ex-Yugoslavia. And my image is that generally in Eastern Europe, it's younger and also bigger audience
Sure.
for jazz or new music or improvised music, whatever you want to call it. There's a big young audience, and I heard about Poland that there's a lot of young people.
And none of them are students. Like, you know, like here, I mean, that's something. If there's young people, that's like some jazz students.
Yeah.
But like in Poland, like no, that's just people who are like they study something else, or you know, but then they just like the music.
Yeah.
They just show up for that. Which I mean, I had a fair share of Danish musicians coming to Poland. They were like, "What?" You know.
But do you have any theory of why in Poland, for example, there are so there's this youthful presence at the jazz concerts?
I think it's a multi-layer like reasoning behind it. One is definitely the tradition of this music, being there for so long. The second is that this music is still considered, believe it or not, hip.
Wow, that's something.
yeah, because it's also like people who are like are intelligent and they're trying to like develop themselves. They just go to those concerts because it's stimulating for not only for their mind but also for their hearts.
Yeah, I mean, the thought struck me that maybe in countries, because you see this you have this in Poland, as I mentioned, in both like Croatia, Serbia.
Yeah.
From what I heard, Slovenia also, there's a big audience for this kind of music. That maybe in countries that didn't have a commercial music scene for that long, that it's easier for non-commercial music to kind of break through.
Like you think that there's like more space for it, or what?
I don't know, but maybe because here, if you take Sweden, then during the whole century, music scene has been directed or controlled by money in a different sense than it has in former communist countries. Right. And that I mean it must affect people's tastes. That if you become used to this more commercial music, then maybe you're less keen to, or less likely to explore something else. While Poland has
sure, that makes sense.
Poland had a very controlled cultural scene, I suppose, during communism.
Yeah, well, what you're talking made me think that it's this thing that.
But then again, jazz was subversive, as I understood it.
Yeah, but so what I'm trying to say is that this music, at least in Poland, and I think a lot of Eastern Europe, has been also a promised land. Because, I still know people who were thrown out of schools because they played jazz.
Yeah. And you're not very old, so I mean.
No, but they would just like get kicked out because it was, bringing this like message of freedom. And we're talking, from like post-war and like 50s, 60s, all the hippie revolution, all that stuff. That all had the different colors and different places. That still happened. But like jazz music had always this connotation of freedom, of something exciting and new. And I think that's also combined with this thing that a lot of Polish people have. I think this like poorer or like young democracies.
Yeah.
That you don't have all the money, you have to figure out how to make it anyway.
Yeah.
You have to know somebody,
Yeah.
If you wanna, like here. I mean, I live in Denmark for a long time, and I love it there, and that's also why I'm here now. Because it's just very, very comfortable.
Yes, it is.
But, like I grew up, it was just like, okay, if you want to have good eggs, you have to know, you have to know somebody.
Who has good eggs?
You have to know the lady and be nice to her.
Yeah.
So she would sell it to you.
Yeah.
If you need, somebody to make you plumbing, you have to know a guy. Because if not, they either will like not pick up the phone or they will just charge you like you've never seen before. When in Scandinavia, it's just like, I need good eggs. I'm just going to pay 4 times
Go to
as
the
much.
supermarket. And,
Yeah. It's all there. So there's also this aspect of struggle of like, you know, especially with art, like people struggling, like, you know, if you wanted to be like super creative and only do your own stuff, that was some poor times for you.
Yeah.
You know, like the government would hold your passport, so like very few musicians could travel, and then you had this like grading system. So it's not that you were, it's not that you were good enough. No, you had to go to an exam. That was with like a bunch of people that had no idea what music is about.
Yeah.
And they would judge you. And then if you know a guy, you know, they would like, you know, if you would pay them, then they would give you a higher grade. That means you would get a better paid gigs.
Yeah.
So it's like all this kind of in between lines. You always have to find a way and figure out things strategically, you know. And I think also it's part of that some of that music, it's, even though it's hard to believe it's there because it's just somebody figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
How to put it there. And then, you know, then it's always going back, oh yeah, it's like in the 60s, whatever, you know, when that was like the golden era for so much of art coming from Poland.
So we've talked about music from some various angles, considering everything from old ladies selling eggs to Polish jazz history. So let's see what our music will sound like.
Okay. Wow. Let's go.
Thank